Welcome back to an episode of We Are again in the Galaxy map room, and it's time for us to do some missions in space. And once we're done with most, if not all, of the side missions, we're gonna go and have a little field trip on this Citadel. So, let's see, visit Anderson's apartment? No, that will be a mission for later. First, we're going to pick up each and every one of them, and there are an awful lot of Reapers around here. Okay, so do it's 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. This one doesn't have any percentage, which is weird. This one also not. Krogan DMZ has 100%. Athena Nebula for some reason sounds weird. Why does it not have percentages? There was some missions also in here. Kinda seems familiar though. Yaniri. Really? Yaniri is a hydrogen helium gas giant named for an ancient Asari goddess of seasons, storms and agriculture. With the advent of the Asari religion, Janiri's holy day, Janiri, became largely secular, but it is still celebrated on worlds with Asari influence. During the Reaper attack on Thessia, the Asari Armada used Janiri as a staging base for their hit-and-run attacks on the invading Reapers, striking, jumping to FTL to lose pursuers, and discharging the static into Janiri's magnetic field as they prepared for another attack. This forced the Reapers to mount a counter-offensive to drive the Asari away from the planet, using ships that would otherwise have been hammering Thessia itself. And do we have anything interesting to scan on now? There's Lucen. A large reflective asteroid. Lucen is almost visible in Thessia's night sky and was discovered soon after the Asari developed optics. When the space age finally arrived, the rocky asteroid was among the first to be mined for its valuable deposits of platinum group metals. Lucen is named for the servant of the goddess, Athena, who beseeched the goddess for the gifts of pottery, forging, and biotics. Lucen then sailed the sea and sky, teaching the gifts to mortals. It is said that the aging, powerful matriarch begged Athena for the gift of prophecy, so she would see whether the Asari would prosper in the future. Athena refused prophecy, being hers alone, and when Lucen tried to steal it from Athena's silver jars, Athena struck her down. The Reapers have so far ignored the mining facility on Lucen as it offers little strategic value and is far from the system's mass relay. Could there be like other planets around here? No. So let's just get it through that. Is there another one? Like there's no fuel station in here that's broken. There are working ones, which is good. Piares. The lifeless sister planet to Thessia lacks water or oxygen. It is covered instead with deserts, the air, a mix of carbon dioxide and ethane. The manageable temperatures and gravity on Piares led to heavy exploitation for mineral wealth in the beginning of the Asari space age. Today, Piares is largely mined out. Piares is named for an ancient Asari goddess of death, who was not seen as a malefic figure, but as one who guided Asari spirits on their final journey. From her home in the stars, she could grant an Asari who had lost a lover the ability to restore them to life in another body. This legend, heavily modified, formed the basis for a recent, highly profitable human stim called Nekya Corridor. The Reapers targeted Piares from orbit, its population too small to bother harvesting. Wreckage of the old domed cities and spaceports dot the landscape. Corinth. Wrapped in a crushing haze of hydrogen and methane, Corinth is named for an Asari goddess of war and hunting, the two being similar in the Asari mindset. The planet is particularly bright in Thessia's morning and evening skies, enough to cast noticeable shadows on moonless nights. Understandable, warriors and hunters operating at night were grateful for Corinth's blessing. The planet was never heavily exploited for minerals. Early Asari explorers focused on the asteroid belt, and by the time robo-mining machines were created that could withstand the intense heat, more lucrative planets were already on the star charts. Modern charts record several scientific stations orbiting the planet, but it appears that all have been destroyed by the Reapers. Thessia! There you go. We should actually be able to land in here, should we? The Asari homeworld has been called the crown jewel of galaxies, the apex of democracy and the beating heart of galactic love. Its republics have a remarkably low incidence of war, disease, violent crime or famine, riding a stable economy backed by wealthy colonies and Thessia's vast element zero reserves. Traces of Ezo in the water and soil are so common that most life on Thessia has adapted to its presence. Thessia's fortune have been upended by the Reaper assault. The communications infrastructure that forms the backbone of the society's e-democracies has been eliminated. Millions are without power, water or food. A move to coerce the Asari into widespread surrender. This is a necessary part of the Reaper strategy, since husks alone have difficulty disarming or capturing a population full of biotics. Kind of makes sense, but the thing is, the whole Asari society works because it's highly structured, and it is dependent on like other worlds that produce stuff for them. Basically, they're just profiteering. They are kind of like in the center, so they have the opportunity to have all of those higher values. But it's kind of weird. The question is, can they actually uphold them or not? Anyway. Athame. Athame is a hydrogen-helium gas giant with spectacular rings. The planet's apparent magnitude varies when seen from Thessia, based on atmospheric conditions and relative distance to the ancient Asari. The mysterious star that shone in some months and disappeared in others was linked to fortune, and so it was named Athame, after the matriarch of the pantheon and a goddess of prophecy and fate. Athame's worship changed over time, eventually becoming the basis for a monotheistic religion in which her maiden, matron, and matriarch aspects oversaw all stages and roles in Asari society. When an Asari says by the goddess, they are referring to Athame. Like Janiri, the planet Athame served as a rally point during the Reaper invasion, where fleeing Asari ships could discharge their drive cores so they could make another FTL jump. The Reapers were forced to chase the Asari away from the planet, buying Thessia valuable time. And Tevura. Tevura is a hydrogen methane ice giant with a core of frozen ammonia and trace hydrocarbons. The world is named for an ancient Asari goddess of love, sex, travel, and law spheres of influence whose overlap initially baffled human xenoanthropologists. Asari reproductive instincts are strongly exogamous, and before alien contact, their instincts sent the Asari roaming outside their kinship groups to avoid mating with relatives. The journeys necessitated a system of rules governing guests, fugitives, and alliances, all watched over by the goddess Tevura. The Reapers have ignored Tevura so far. Its science stations and moon-based mining equipment are offering little strategic importance. It is likely that destroyers will eventually be sent here to exterminate any civilians. So let's see if we can actually scan something here. There doesn't seem to be anything there. Nothing. Alright, so there are an awful lot of systems in here. Okay, let's go to Vernio. Whoa, wait a minute. Tomaros is something new. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh boy. There's another system called Tomaros that is extremely far in the west. There's a system full of systems. a cluster full of systems. Polissa. Polissa is a ringed gas giant composed of hydrogen, helium, and traces of ammonia. It has 26 moons, but the Asari extracted the most valuable resource deposits from all of them long ago. The facilities have largely been forgotten in the face of greater excitement among the system's inner planets. Trikalon. The Asari have set up research stations on the largest moon of Trikalon, a gas giant, in order to observe the eventual collision of Pronoia and Terra. A Reaper troop transport can be seen here, indicating that the Reapers sent a small force to capture or kill the station staff. Why they did not destroy the station outright is a mystery. It could be that the direct collision of two planets is so rare that even the Reapers wish to observe the results. Nauti, or Nauti, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Nauti is a rocky planet with a crushing atmosphere. Thick clouds have created a runaway greenhouse effect, locking in the brutal heat from its yellow-white star, Vernio. Much of Nauti's surface is brittle rock with deposits of molten metal. Pronoia. There we go. Within 3 years, Pronoia will slam into a neighboring planet, Terra, and suffer an apocalyptic transformation. Asari explorers searching for life in Pronoia's hydrocarbon morass were relieved to find none. Pronoia's methane-ethane atmosphere is likely to ignite when it mingles with Terra's oxygen, and both planets will shatter under the force of the collision. They are both in the same thing here. One of them will either slow down or the other one will speed up, depending on the situation. Or they get close together, try to spin, and then they fling themselves into like different locations. That could also happen, right? Terra's atmosphere retains a modest amount of oxygen, but it is too hot to support life that relies on liquid water. This is fortunate because projections show that Terra will collide with Pronoia, a planet crossing its orbit, within the next 3 years. The impact is expected to pulverize both worlds while forming new asteroids and moons. The Asari have constructed research stations at safe distances to record this rare event. Nothing here, that's not good.
Signal confirmed.
We got something on Polissa. Let's see what we get. We have either credits. Hesperia period statue. That's the one that we need to get to the embassy. That's 50%. That means there's a fuel station somewhere in here that I don't know. Okay, so it's not here. Could be here. No, wait. The fuel station could be somewhere here in the center. Or not. Okay. Oh, there it is. So, let's get the fuel and get back, because the Reapers are coming. And we are gone. So, where do we go next? Let's just go all the way up there. 22% is a little weird. And then we go back to the mass relay in order to... The ship just disappeared in the clouds. That's interesting. So, what's that small one? Trikalon. Trikalon is a small rock planet that was home to a centuries-old Asari venture called the Tiri Super Collider. This massive particle accelerator encircled the entire planet at an orbital distance. When political sea change among the Asari republics led to funding cuts, human scientists stepped in with the credits and labor to finish the project. renaming it the Suskin Super Collider. It came online just days before the Reapers invaded the galaxy. When the Reapers entered the system, they dispatched a swarm of capital ships towards Trikalon, treating the Super Collider as a greater threat than the Asari naval fleet stationed at Sanves. They blasted it apart, sending debris hurtling to Trikalon's surface. Several ships carrying Super Collider stuff escaped before the Reaper hit. Why do they not like Super Colliders that much? It's kind of weird. Maybe it has a certain ring to it that they don't like. The hydrogen-helium gas giant, Sulium, once provided fuel for ships flying to and from Sanves. The equipment here was noted for its efficiency. Business flourished in its orbital stations, which promised roomy bunks, hydroponic food, and attention from charming Asari hostesses, while ships refueled. These stations are now blasted metal. There is no fuel, aid, or comfort here. Nothing on this one, but there is another planet here, Nosia. Scans show little of value on Nosia. Aside from sizable copper deposits near the equator, the only landmark of note is the wreck of a Krogan freighter, a remnant of attacks on their systems during the latter half of Krogan rebellions. So this one could be interesting. I have a slight suspicion that somewhere over here is a fuel station. Maybe it's further in the center. Who knows? Sodium was that one. There is something here. I know it. Like, come on. There always is. Anyway, Ilnos. The once rich thorium reserves of Ilnos have long been mined out, mostly by remote Asari drones that operate well enough in the planet's heat and trace atmospheric pressure. There's little reason to visit this harsh world unless further deposits are discovered. Sanves. The hospitable nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, the hospitable nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, temperature, climate, and sprawling wilderness of Sanves made the planet a popular tourist destination. Large tracts of untamed forests surrounding the capital drew in millions of sightseers, game hunters, and biologists. The Asari, mindful of how rapid expansion has damaged the ecologies of other planets, restricted settlements. After destroying the colony's navy and anti-air defenses, Reapers landed infantry units to subjugate the local population. Destroyers keep watch in orbit, the capital ships apparently elsewhere, fighting bigger battles. Alright, so where on earth? Ah, there it is.
I found something.
Or maybe there's not. Anyway, this was the, collider thingy. But I was actually looking for a fuel station. Asari Engineers. So this is 50%. Where are the other 50%? There. Let's get this one, get the units, and get out. Whee!
Evasion successful.
Okay. Let's get back to Parnitha. Then we can refuel. And then I have to figure out where the rest of the system is. I think the idea is to get to this system. Tomaros there, all the way down. That's a bit much. But okay. That's a weirdly small one, but alright. Look at that. Starting with this one. Egalic. The Garlic planet. The system's only gas giant has rings laced with the faintest traces of element zero dust. likely from an extrasolar asteroid pulverized by a collision with the planet's moons. Collecting and refining the ESO in dust form is a long and costly process. The Elcos Combine sought the mineral right to Egalic from the matriarchs on Thessia, but the Reaper invasion stopped any deal from going through. The equipment here is undamaged by Reapers, the attack on Niakal likely taking priority. And this is where the attack is supposed to be. Niakal is a lush planet with an overabundance of photosynthetic life, leading to oxygen concentrations greater than on most garden worlds. This is tolerable for a few hours, but soon oxygen toxicity becomes a real danger. Asari colonies here use breathers and sealable buildings. Niakal's economy centers on agribusiness and biotechnology. Many genetically modified crops have their origin here. Aware that the Reaper's plan of attack is to bombard industrial cities and enslave population centers, Niakal's soldiers and civilians alike have retreated to the planet's impenetrable jungles. A terrestrial guerrilla war may not be enough to push the Reapers off the planet, but it has proven successful at immobilizing the enemy and forcing them to commit more resources here for little gain. Krala. After half the crew of a survey ship died in a freak accident, the ship's captain named this desert planet Krala, after an ancient Asari demon of misfortune. Krala is said to delight in thwarting carefully laid plans at the last moment, tipping apparent success towards utter disaster. Legend says the only targets whose plans are long in the making... legend says she only targets those whose plans are long in the making, an obvious warning against hubris for a race whose plans tend to stretch over centuries. Reading... there it is. Okay. Now I just have to figure out which planets we are going to scan here. Thesionis. Surface is a desert of lime streets with sodium banks. The only real features of note are empty calderas scattered around the fault lines, suggesting Thesioni was once more geologically active. While average temperatures are near habitable, Thesioni has not retained a proactive atmosphere and is thus a third-tier world, unlike to be terraformed. Okay, so we could go for the jungle. There's nothing there.
Signal confirmed.
And there is... of course. Ay. I wasted it. This one says ESO. I should have gone for the ESO planet before, but sometimes going for the tech planet is more interesting. What do we got? Asari research ships. Perfect. So, yeah.
Reapers eluded.
Too close, too close, too close.
Faster than light
And
jump
we're
successful.
gone. Let's just go to Tomaros. 66%. Looks like I cannot actually get to 100 though. Benes. The ice giant Benes is the outermost gas giant of the Tomaros System. It likely formed much closer to the system's star and migrated outward over time. A debris field of scrap metal near the planet suggested Reapers have been here. And Niagolon. Niagolon is a hydrogen-helium gas giant. The Reapers have destroyed its fueling infrastructure. During the Lucia campaign that started the Krogan rebellions, Niagolon was the site of Krogan overlord Kradak's ultimate defeat. As his flagship was discharging its drive core and undergoing repairs, an Asari commando team snuck on board and detonated resonant warp bombs, sacrificing their lives to destroy the vessel through explosive decompression. So this one could be in it. And this is where the fuel is. And Pronoia. Pronoia is a methane ammonia gas giant, notable for the large deposits of platinum discovered by Lucia colonists on its largest moon. Asari have been selling the precious metal used in some medical equipment to the Zeta Foundation for less than its market value. Why? The discount may have single-handedly saved Zeta from bankruptcy, a debt that is rapidly being repaid galaxy-wide through Zeta's humanitarian efforts. The Reaper presence in the system has no doubt cut off supplies to the Foundation. Well, that's definitely not good. And Lucia. The Krogan rebellions began in the Asari colony of Lucia. After centuries of unabated expansion, the Krogan finally forced the Council's hand when they tried to annex this world, aware that in a generation, Lucia could be a staging base for an invasion of Thessia. The Council came to the colony's defense. They cut the Krogan supply lines of the Thessia's mass relay and inflicted heavy casualties. The Krogan here surrendered, but others across the galaxy were enraged. Lucia became the catalyst for a much greater war. More than a millennium later, Lucia finds itself once again in danger. Though the Asari have lost the high ground of space, the colony's web defense grid remains at least partially functional. Land, sea, and air forces are striking wherever they can, determined to resist until the end. So, let's see which one we could get.
I found something.
Oh. And there's another one over there. Oh, the Reapers are coming. The Reapers are coming. Pronoia. There. Asari Cruiser Nefrane. And let's get ourselves some fuel. Perfect. Not 100%, but okay. 88. So everything in here is at 100% except for Parnitha. Okay, there are 4 others. Let's just see. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there another one? No. Okay, yeah, so we got all of them. Except for Thessia. I think we have to go to Thessia at one point. Which is kind of weird. That I... Oh, there. Okay. I have to get Tevura. There we go. Asari Cruiser Cybaen. 100%. Now everything is at 100%. Let's just check. Yes. Perfect. Time to get to the next system. So, what do we have? 100%. How many more systems do we have here? Ninma cluster for some reason. It's weird. I don't know. Should be at 100%, I believe. And what's this one? Speak with the Quarians. Ooh. That's 100%. That's 100%. That's not at 100%. That's Isma thingy. Minos Wasteland. Find Excerberus scientists and investigate Asari colony. Nimbus cluster. Ooh. Was there this one? Valhallen Threshold. I have to check out this one. That's an interesting one. There's nothing here. Rahil Leia. Okay. There. There's something invisible over there.
I found something.
Okay. And we just triggered the invasion. Definitely not good. Wow, this is one of the few clusters that has absolutely nothing in it. Okay, there's something here. And there's Garvug over there. In 354 CE, Garvug was considered a bargain world, given to the Krogan to placate them because no one else wanted to live on such a frozen rock. Technically a life-bearing world, Garvug had a small farm belt around its equator and well-insulated marine life in its seas. By the turn of the century, the Krogan had completely adapted, breeding hundreds of younglings per family in vast underground bunkers. By the turn of the next century, Garvug's narrow strips of coral reef had been destroyed by overfishing and pollutants, and excess Krogan took to the stars to find another planet to consume. Garvug was treated as an object lesson by the Citadel Council. The Krogan could not be trusted to check their own numbers. Today, Garvug is a frozen wasteland, home to corporation eco-engineering efforts trying to implement sustainable agriculture and aquaculture practices. Krogan and vulture packs are a constant threat, and the corporations pay mercenaries well to keep their operations safe. And
Signal confirmed.
okay, there's one on the planet over here. There are far too many Reapers that get triggered with one scan. It's just ridiculous. If you scan twice, there it is. If you scan twice, the Reapers are coming. So you have to... Oh, Prothean data drives. That's good. So, this was the one. And... there. Let's get some fuel before we leave. So... let's just get to Micah. Oh boy, oh boy. Kagabea. The second asteroid in the system formed around an element 0 core. Kagabel is another carbonaceous asteroid with a surface made of hydrated minerals, such as carbonates and clays. Beneath its icy surface is liquid water, with some ammonia acids. The surface of Kagabel is pitted and scarred with strip mining stations, where the quarrians took as much ether as possible before moving on. There are actually 2 asteroid rings, and Farlas. One of a trio of asteroids formed around an element 0 core. Farlas is the easiest to mine for low-yield ether. A carbonaceous asteroid, Farlas has a trace of water-bearing minerals and organic carbon in the form of kerogan. So there could be a third one around here, maybe this one? Israfel. Largest of the ESO trio, Israfel is a silicate-heavy carbonaceous asteroid. It is home to approximately 40 species of microorganisms in its liquid water, and was blamed as the source of the prion-based bioware agent EHE, exotic humanoid encephalopathy, used by the terrorist group Totenkopf in their attack on Gagarin Station in 2184. While many in the scientific community protested that Israfel did not have sufficient atmosphere or evolutionary history to sustain life at the prion level, the asteroid and its ESO miners were nevertheless quarantined to reassure the public that the Systems Alliance was taking action. Though no evidence has yet been found that EHE originated from Israfel or was even synthesized in a local lab, the SSV Manila and a team of epidemiologists maintain watch over the asteroid ship traffic for now. So it was definitely prepared in labs somewhere else then. Let's see. Duma. Home to 51 moons, including the prebiotic moon Anafiel, Duma is a standard hydrogen helium gas giant with violent surface winds exceeding 1,900 km per hour. Like its sister planet Elohi, it is believed to be an extrasolar capture. And Elohi. A small hydrogen helium gas giant formed around a metallic hydrogen core. Elohi was the site of a rare astronomical event, late last year. The comet Asaro completed its orbit 70 galactic standard years and traveled so close to the giant that it was captured as a moon. Dozens of space probes from around the galaxy recorded this movement. Elohi is within the frost line of its parent star, where gas giants do not usually form. For this reason, it is believed to be an exosolar capture. So we got ourselves 2 planets and possibly a fuel station somewhere. There. Okay.
I found something.
Ooh. Very close together even. Very nice. So the stuff is supposed to be on Farlas then. Let's see. Wonderful. Element 0 converter. Whatever that one does. Oh no. Okay. Before we leave, let's get this one. And then there's nothing on this one. Maybe the planet. And it's the planet. So, scan and leave. I can't see the spot. Planet super high. Emergency fuel pods. Perfect. Now, let's get away from here.
Reapers eluded.
Okay, so this one's 100%, passes at 100%. Just Rahil there is not at 100%, so let's investigate that. Get the fuel. Oh, it's at 100%, that's good.
Faster than light.
That is very good. So this one is 100%, this one is 100%, this one is not at 100%, this is... I do need to... Athena Nebula was the one with the fuel station. I have to figure out why some systems have a percentage and some others don't. Like this one over here has a fuel station and a percentage. This one has a fuel station but no percentage. Same as the Horsehead Nebula. So there are definitely areas with a percentage, and then there are others without any. It may be that the percentage just comes later or something, but anyway. Let's see, this one is at 100%. Nimbus cluster, this is where I have to scan a little bit more. And then we are just going to focus on the side missions. So, how many do we get? It's 3, 4. Alright. And there's a fuel station right over here, that's good. And Itis. The rock and ice planet Itis position was ideal for collecting data on exosolar activity. According to star charts, the Asari had a small VI-run system of satellites in geosynchronous orbit with the planet. The system broadcast the first warning that Reapers had come through the mass relay, and mangled metal around the planet indicates that the Reapers did not appreciate the presence being advertised. And Trategos. Largely frozen ice, except for liquid seas at the equator. Trategos has the coldest winters of any Asari colony, taking it down near the second tier of habitability. Trategos' colonists are a hardy bunch, using the freezing winter months to test whether newcomers have what it takes to carve out a life on the planet. Trategos' colonists are fighting the Reapers in a guerrilla war, their best resource being submarine vehicles that can slip under the sea ice to mask their heat. Unfortunately, these have not proven good tools for taking back population centers from the Reapers, and for now the colonists will have to be satisfied with commando actions to harass their synthetic oppressors. Steros. The dense atmosphere of nitrogen and carbon monoxide has turned Steros into a hothouse of enormous windstorms that blow toxic gases non-stop. Its most valuable deposits are cobalt and polonium, which netted it the number 3 spot on a list of amazingly poisonous planets on the popular Vichou Your Awesome Galaxy. The Reapers appear to have destroyed the camera drones here, as well as any scientific stations the Asari may have maintained. Sustenia. The most temperate planet in the solar system, Sustenia is a terrestrial world with a light atmosphere of nitrogen and argon. Asari from neighboring Trategos built mining operations around the southern pole after discovering mountains with veins of iridium and osmium. So this one could...
Signal confirmed.
Wait a minute. That's weird. 700 something fuel. This is cheap. Okay, so there are 4 things in here. And even more. That makes it a little difficult now. Looks like we're getting a ton of fuel for this. Intact Reaper weapon, yeah, look at that. I just have to get away from here.
Evasion successful.
Yeah, now I know why there's so much fuel. The thing is, there's this investigate the Asari colony over there, but I want to do some more scanning. Let's get away from here. We're gonna continue this in a moment, but first, let's see if I... that's not good.
Faster than light jump successful.
Okay, so we're going to save. Then we're gonna get back into the system. That's not how you do this.
Evasion successful.
Like that.
Reapers eluded.
Okay. And then we are going all the way over here. Hopefully we're not going to trigger anything by just entering the system. That's why I say. Because I just want to explore the environment. There we go. This is the Quarian Envoy ship. We're just going to ignore that for now. Oh, look at that. We're just going to continue scanning. Because we can. Gotha. A dwarf planet, Gotha, has a pressure cooker atmosphere that brings its surface temperature to scorching levels. Carbon dioxide and ethane are plentiful in the planet's hazy atmosphere. There has been some speculation in the mining community as to whether the Quarians mined all of the precious metals before they fled the system some 3 centuries ago. Rumors abound that anyone willing to brave the gap could find loads of naturally occurring diamonds on Gotha, but this is likely just a starship legend. Travel advisory: Gotha is in Geth space. All civilian traffic is prohibited. And Charum. Once a starship, refueling station for the Quarians, Charum has expanded under Geth rule. Thousands of orbital platforms surrounded the planet and its many moons, refining helium into helium-3. A vast Geth fleet travels between Charum and Haestrom, preventing all but the most stealthy of spy drones from discovering any information about it. Current estimates place the Geth fleet numbers between 5,000 and 10,000 ships with unknown levels of armament. Travel advisory: most intelligence estimates state that approaching Charum is tantamount to suicide. All civilian traffic is prohibited. Haestrom. Formerly a Quarian colony, Haestrom was established to observe the phenomenon on Dholen, the system's parent star. Dholen appeared to be unstable, with a high possibility of erupting prematurely into a red giant. Haestrom was lost to the Geth in 1896 CE, soon after all communication from the planet and its attendant space station ceased. The Geth have shown no sign of treating Dholen as a threat over the past 3 centuries, beyond establishing several space stations near it. Dholen's magnetic eruptions and solar output overwhelm most nearby communications, and it is unclear how the Geth have compensated. Today, spy probe scans indicate this extensive orbital construction around Haestrom, housing thousands of Geth platforms and an unknown number of Geth software mines. It is not known how many Geth are on the planet's surface. Spy probes face interference from Dholen, making remote scanning difficult. Resource estimates based on Geth mining, refining and fabricating practices suggest that the planet has at least 20 more years of use before it is exhausted. Intelligence experts speculate that the Geth have not exploited all of their resources because they wish to keep some in reserve for the repairs. Travel advisory. Haestrom is a Geth stronghold. Military spy drones using cutting-edge stealth technology are the only vehicles to have returned from Geth space unharmed. All civilian traffic is prohibited. And there could be a hidden thing in the dark space in between. But I don't know. There usually is. This system is huge. Come on. That is the mass relay. That one doesn't count. Okay, there's probably nothing here. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, the ship's also here, right? What about some more inner stuff? Didn't I explore the asteroid ring in here? Yeah, I did. It did, didn't I? Okay. There's nothing on Gotha. Nothing on this one. Nothing on those two. Okay, so that is empty. Ma'at. Whoa. Another one extremely empty planet with just one teensy weensy little sun. And a planet that is Amut and Amat. Egyptian names. Amut is an enormous hydrogen-helium giant with a mass approximately 9 times that of Jupiter and nearly 2,900 times that of Earth. Despite massive pressure, its core has failed to ignite in a fusion reaction, qualifying it as a failed star. It is believed to have captured all other planet-sized bodies in the solar system as moons or in impact events, leading to its name Tevura. Not intimidated by this phenomenon, the Geth have colonized many of Amut's moons and skimmed the hydrogen from Amut's upper atmosphere. Travel advisory. Amut is in Geth space. All civilian traffic is prohibited. Is not advised should actually be the thing, but okay. So I expect there to be one fuel station somewhere in here. The planet itself cannot actually be scanned. Come on. Maybe there's something more in the center. We're just going to force it. There's nothing here. Yep.
Faster than light jump successful.
There's nothing here. Absolutely bloody nothing. You gotta be kidding me. That was my art. Are there any other names around here? No. Everything that was in here has no name. That's good. Maybe because it's a main mission environment again. That makes it unscannable and therefore uncompletable, kind of. Yeah, Athena Nebula was the one with fuel station, huh? Yes. Alright, now let's continue on the Nimbus cluster. It's a little bit much.
Evasion successful.
So, let's go for Kallini. What a teensy one. Let's look around. My expectation is that... No, wait a minute. What if there's nothing here? And you have... oh, no, there is. Parnitha. A rock planet, exploited for minerals by robo-miners. Parnitha was named for an ancient mythological Asari hero. Her music was so stirring, the goddess Athena granted Parnitha anything her heart desired. Differing legends reflect the variety of hero cults of the time. In some stories, she became the first ruler of Armali, while others claim Parnitha took to the stars with Athena herself. The robo-miners' orbital stations here have been destroyed. A number of life pods can be detected, but most are in the red, indicating that their oxygen ran out long ago. And Aethron. Vast swaths of Aethron's surface are covered in thick ash, spewed into the air by chains of volcanoes across the planet beneath their layer of soot. Aethron has an iron core and significant levels of cobalt in its crust. Lemnia. As with Parnitha, Lemnia had mining facilities in orbit, remotely controlling machines on the planet's surface to recover Lemnia's highly valued transuranic elements. Transuranic elements. Unfortunately, the miners made no secret of their presence and to find all traces of them and wipe them out. All the Reapers needed to do was access the extranet. Right, so...
I found something.
There's fuel over there. And there is... over.
Reapers eluded.
Is there only a fuel station? That can't be. Seems like cheating. It is? Okay.
Faster than light jump successful.
So we go in a diagonal, I would say. Diagonals are not good. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Alright. The better way would be to go from one system to the next and refuel in between. What we are doing is kind of like... Why does that one not have an orbit? The orbit's this not here. Neargas. Neargas is an ice planet far from the system's twin suns. Star charts indicate that Neargas once orbited the binary star in a figure 8 pattern that proved too unstable to maintain. The planet is now hurtling out of the system. And this is why there is absolutely nothing connecting it. Interesting. It has no orbit, because it's not orbiting. But wait a minute, that does... Like, even an orbit that is no orbit is an orbit. Like, the idea that an orbit goes around something kind of makes sense, yes. But, in this case, it doesn't orbit the sun. The sun orbits this thing as well, right? You just have to look at this both ways. You can also like make this one into a ring and do other things with it. It's just perspective shifts. But in this case, what is this thing going around then? It's getting slingshotted somewhere else. There doesn't seem to be anything to scan in here, which is a little weird. Okay, looks like I have to force it. Carcosa. Carcosa was thought to be a naturally occurring hothouse planet until an Asari expedition discovered palatial ruin on its barren surface. Likely the seat of an ancient city, the crumbling edifice dates back more than 2.7 million years. The only intact chambers appears to be a throne room overlooking a large depression believed to have been an enormous lake. There's evidence that the people of Carcosa polluted their planet until it became uninhabitable, triggering a runaway greenhouse effect and spoiling the planet's fresh water supply. Research into the planet's long history will have to wait. Asari scientists evacuated when word of the Reapers' attack reached the system, leaving behind data drones to explain their findings to anyone who survives. This sounds like a good scan.
Signal confirmed.
Ah. Please be 100%, please be 100%. Down there. And we get ourselves Library of Asha. Perfect. 66%. So this is at 100? This is at 100? So... Oh, and this is at 50%, so it's a little bit more than 50 overall. Okay. So that means there is an awful lot of stuff over here too. It's probably a fuel station. But let's just go for Velios. Velios is a hydrogen methane ice giant drifting out in the frozen depths. Its orbit hosts rings of rock and ice, as well as many moons, all drawn from what would otherwise be a secondary asteroid field similar to Sol's Kuiper Belt. Velios is named for a trickster figure in Asari mythology, a crafty animal called a Manal that seduced Asari maidens, who then gave birth to hideously deformed offspring. In the tales, Velios is caught and punished, but they serve as a warning to young Asari not to initiate a bond with anyone they cannot trust. But they did trust them, didn't they? It's not the problem that they didn't trust the thing. It's just that the outcome was not suitable. So, Shastesia. A hydrogen helium gas giant, Shastesia is a twin to its more massive neighbor Medokos in more than one sense. The two are named for a semi-mythological pair of twins from Asari antiquity, who ruled neighboring city-states and had a lifelong dialogue about the best form of government. As the legend says, Shastesia died before her vision of a democratic republic could be realized. Her sister Medokos then took up the cause, sacrificing personal power so that all free landowners in her city would have a voice. Although historians doubt that the changes were entirely altruistic, pointing to uprisings that demanded representation, the development was a step towards modern Asari government. Interesting, eh? You all think that this is just a free people kind of thing, but in most cases, this freedom comes because there's some economic power backing it up. And that is the only reason. So, Limetis. Limetis is a desertified, such a weird word, desertified rock planet with a thin atmosphere of carbon dioxide and monoxide. The surface has water ice as well as occasional liquid water near volcanic areas. The planet has an abundant supply of zealots, zeolites, which the Asari use for water purification, as an ingredient in detergent, and as a shielding material for disposal of radioactive waste. A small colony still maintains the mining equipment. Despite centuries of colonization, the Asari have developed a Limetis at a modest pace. The planet shows no sign of resource exhaustion. Oh boy. Brain lag is happening right now. And Medokos, the other one. Medokos is a medium-sized gas giant. Although its mass exceeds that of Jupiter, the planet is somewhat denser and thus smaller. A large number of moons, planetesimals, and other detritus orbits Medokos, as its gravitational pull has cleared the neighborhood of material that might otherwise form an asteroid belt. I am still looking for a fuel station around here. For some reason I'm not going to find anyone. There's probably something over here. Okay, so this is Lezus. Let's see. Yeah, we can land in here. And that means we're going to read whatever this is. These two cannot be. Okay, for some reason there's no fuel here. I don't like that. Okay, before we land on Lezus, we're going to end this episode, but in a slightly different way. We're going to read even more stuff. Let's get all of those free entries here. The military ship classifications. Oh god, that takes forever. Larger warships are generally classified in one of four ways. Frigates. Small, fast ships used for scouting and screening larger vessels. Frigates often operate in wolfpack flotillas. Cruisers are middleweight combatants, faster than dreadnoughts and more heavily armed than frigates. Cruisers are the standard patrol unit and often lead frigate flotillas. Dreadnoughts are kilometer-long capital ships mounting heavy, long-range firepower. They are only deployed for the most vital missions. The carriers are dreadnought-sized vessels that also carry large numbers of fighters. Smaller vessels are almost exclusively used in a support role to the warship during combat. Fighters are one-man crafts used to perform close-range attacks on enemy ships. Okay, that was that. There's one thingy in here. Oh, and interceptors. Wait. This is more than just 4, is it? Four weights. Yeah. Weird. Anyway, fighters and interceptors are one-man craft optimized for destroying opposing fighters. Okay. So an interceptor goes against a fighter, and the fighter is basically an interceptor, but it has a different name. Weird. Normandy SR-1. The SSV Normandy SR-1 was a prototype starship developed by the Human Systems Alliance with assistance from the Citadel Council. The ship employed state-of-the-art stealth technology for reconnaissance in dangerous regions. Most ships emit heat that is easy to detect against the absolute zero background of space. Normandy, however, could temporarily store its waste heat deep within the hull, allowing the ship to travel undetected for hours or drift passively for days of covert observation. This was not without risk. Eventually, the stored heat had to be released, or it would build to levels that could cook the crew alive. Another key component for the Normandy stealth system was the evolutionary Tantalus drive, a mass effect core twice the size of a standard unit. The Tantalus drive generated mass concentrations that the Normandy fell into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters. And this right here is the thing that I'm kind of concerned about. They said something about it falling into space, so why do we use up fuel? It's weird. The Normandy SR-1 was destroyed in 2183 when it was ambushed by a collector ship in the Omega Nebula. Space combat. Shells lofted by surface navies crash back to Earth when their acceleration is overwhelmed by gravity and air resistance. In space, a projectile has unlimited range. It will keep moving until it hits something. Practical gunnery range is determined by the velocity of the attacker's ordnance and the maneuverability of the target. Beyond a certain range, a small ship's ability to dodge trumps a larger attacker's projectile speed. The longest ranged combat occurs between dreadnoughts, whose projectiles have the highest velocity but are the least maneuverable. The shortest range combat is between frigates, which have the slowest projectiles velocities and highest maneuverability. Opposing dreadnoughts open with a main gun artillery duel at extreme ranges of tens of thousands of kilometers. The fleet's close, maintaining evasive lateral motion while keeping their bow guns facing the enemy fighters. Facing the enemy. Fighters are launched and attempt to close the disruptor torpedo range. Cautious admirals weaken the enemy with ranged fire and fighter strikes before committing to close action. Aggressive commanders advance so cruisers and frigates can engage. At long range, the main guns of cruisers become useful. Friendly interceptors engage enemy fighters until the attackers enter the range of ship-based guardian fire, some laser stuff. Dreadnoughts fire from the rear, screened by smaller ships. Commanders must decide whether to commit to a general melee or retreat into FTL. At medium range, ships can use broadside guns. Fleets intermingle and it becomes difficult to retreat in order. Ships with damaged kinetic barriers are vulnerable to Wolfpack frigate flotillas that speed through the battle space. Only fighters and frigates enter close knife fight ranges of 10 or fewer kilometers. Fighters lose their disruptor torpedoes, bringing down a ship's kinetic barrier and allowing it to be swarmed by frigates. Guardian lasers become viable weapons, swapping down fighters and boiling away warship armor. Neither dreadnoughts nor cruisers can use their main guns at close range. Laying the bow on a moving target becomes impossible. Superheated thruster exhaust becomes a hazard. Okay, so that was the space fight. Whatever you do, don't get caught into a space fight. Alright, so wait a minute, there is also what we're at it.
Commander.
Yeah. We did explore some stuff, didn't we? So either we can finish some side missions or we unlocked some war assets. Let's just check that one before we end it. Got ourselves Asari. The Asari cruiser Nefrane. The Asari cruiser Nefrane is named for a lost city said to be buried in ice at Thessia's South Pole. The cruiser still carries scars from scores of Gev fighters it took on during the Battle of the Citadel in 2183. The crew refuses to have the scars removed, considering them marks of honor and a reminder of how close they came to annihilation. Asari research ships. The Asari scientists in Orisoni had isolated themselves to prevent academic and corporate theft of their work. They've been researching new polymers, looking for a material with high heat resistance and zero conductivity that is dirt cheap to produce. One of their prototype materials appears ideal for insulating the crucible's venting chambers. So they just figured out like the golden goose pretty much. Because heat resistance means there's and zero conductivity. Usually those two exclude each other. Because heat transfer seems to be like an electron kind of effect, therefore having to do with conductivity. That is dirt cheap. Okay, this is something that can... If it is a material that's very abundant, the likelihood of it being very easy to produce increases. If it is a rare element, it becomes more difficult to produce. If the method of combining whatever substance this is also very difficult, or the machinery is very difficult to make, then it's also very difficult to produce. But anyway, once machinery is in place, the whole thing becomes cheap no matter what. Anyway, Asari cruiser Cybaen. The Cybaen is an Asari cruiser class warship. A mix-up during the cruiser's construction left it with an unusually large drive core, and engineers redesigned the ship around the excessive power source. The Cybaen's unusually robust engines provide enough energy to generate kinetic barriers normally reserved for dreadnoughts. So... a mix-up. It just happens to have a large drive core. Weird. So it can maintain barriers because of its higher power. But this is absolutely useless in combat. It should have some kind of like extreme laser or something. Anyway, Asari Engineers. The graceful, soaring spires common to Asari architecture look deceptively delicate. Pathesia's palaces, universities, and theaters have stood longer than most civilizations. Asari architectural engineers dispatched to the Crucible are testing the weapon's construction to make sure it can withstand tremendous amounts of pressure. If built improperly, stress could tear the Crucible in half upon activation. Because they think it's a huge gun. And the Crucible. Element Zero converter. Element Zero refineries are large industrial facilities that remove impurities from the elements, also called ESO, before it is used to fuel starships or gravity generators. It's an important process, as sending an electrical charge through impure ESO can cause the element to explode, begetting up a conversion facility because the Crucible ESO can be mined, refined, and supplied to the project in record time. Emergency fuel pods. What's that? The fuel pods, scavenged from a field of debris in the Valhallen Threshold, were once attached to a fleet of merchant vessels, making long, risky journeys into uncharted space. The pods have been repurposed for the Crucible's project. When activated, the Crucible's fusion reactors consume entire oceans of helium-3. The fuel pods serve as emergency reservoirs should the weapon use more power than expected. And that's that. 5,500. We're 2/3 complete. That's pretty interesting. Wait a minute. So if this is 5,500, then this one is 2,525. So 2,700. And we could add the whole thing to 700 over here, or maybe 2,500, so we should end up at 8,000 military points somewhat. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So we don't really get the 10,000 full. Alright. Time for us to end the episode. Get through the scanner again. And then we can do the side mission. So, for now, like and subscribe. It was more a talky episode and scanning and whatnot, but at least we are now able to finish a few of the side missions as well. Yeah, as I said, like and subscribe, and ta-ta!